Hello friends, welcome. Friend, recently our Honorable Minister of Telecom made a statement in one of the seminars which said that duopoly is not good for telecom. And therefore, it gave a hint to all the stakeholders and those who are present in that seminar, an indication that government is seriously working to bail out Vodafone Idea. Now, friends, you know that in my channel, I have been making videos to explain as to why government should bail out Vodafone Idea. It is not about the loss of money of the government and the debt that government has accumulated, the debt that Vodafone Idea has accumulated, which is due to be paid to the government, and all that money will get lost. More importantly, that the stakeholders, especially DOT, themselves are responsible in contributing to that mess. And they have a moral responsibility to bail Vodafone Idea out, because when the Supreme Court judgment came, they realized that they have committed a mistake and tried their level best to unwind some of the damage which has been done by the Supreme Court judgment, but they were not successful. Right? And then the telecom package came of 2021, which kind of gave a 4-year moratorium, and that was not sufficient. And today, Vodafone Idea is in the brink of total bankruptcy, and therefore, it is important that this statement came at the right time, because 31st March 2026, there is a payment due to the government of India of 18,000 crores, which Vodafone Idea cannot pay. Now, interestingly, the purpose of this video is to not to repeat what I have said earlier. The purpose is this statement made by our ex-finance minister, Mr. Chidambaram. So he picked up on Mr. Scindia's statement, and I'm going to show you the tweet. This is the tweet he made, I think, on 25th June, to today is 26th, yesterday, where he said that duopoly is not good in any industry. Minister Scindia is right in his finding of revival Vodafone India to infuse more competition in the telecom industry in India. There was once upon a time, leading telecom companies of the world took the first step to enter Indian market, and these were AT&T, BT, Verizon, Etisalat, and Hutchison and others. They left India because of regulatory environment, right? But he didn't say what regulatory environment. And the way to revive Vodafone Idea for the government is to not to infuse more funds, which they have already done, which is 36,500 crores, which is additional fund they have infused, and make Vodafone Idea into a government. So he's saying that, no, don't make Vodafone Idea into a government company. The way forward, this is important, is to encourage a world-class telecom company to take over Vodafone Idea and provide stiff competition to the current telecom companies, the two current telecom companies. Now, friends, why I'm doing this video? I am going to analyze this tweet as to how practical this solution is, right? And probably those who are watching this video, they already know that it is a completely impractical solution, because many people are very much enlightened. They know what is being going on, and they've been following this sector for a long period of time. But in this video, you are not only going to get an answer as to why this is not practical to implement, but what were the reasons for this mess and who have been primarily responsible to this mess. So I'm going to take you to the history, some of the history, which I have already spoken about in past, but this gives me an opportunity to revisit some of my arguments and say that why this is a completely non-practical idea. So friends, what I have done is I actually have created a slide deck. So the idea, the title of this slide deck is Vodafone Idea Takeover Fallacy, Why Chidambaram's Proposal Failed, a fact-based breakdown of financial policy realities, right? So the opening argument of Mr. Chidambaram is, which I'm kind of amplifying Chidambaram's argument. Mr. Chidambaram proposes that world-class telecom companies should take over Vodafone Idea. He opposes further government investment in Vodafone Idea, but he provides no plan of how this foreign entity would manage Vodafone Idea's crushing liabilities. He only says that there have been so many other foreign companies which entered, and they were very much excited in entering India, but they left because of the regulatory policies. He just alluded to regulatory policies, but didn't say specifically which regulatory policies have caused them to exit. And in this video, we are going to address that. Whatever he has missed out in this tweet, we are going to address that, and I'll let the viewers know that why they exited and why nobody is going to invest in Vodafone Idea. The suggestion is politically convenient but structurally empty. Right. So Vodafone Idea's financial condition, we all know, December 2024, we have an outstanding debt of roughly more than 2 lakh crores. Breakdown is the AGR debt on 31st March 2025 is 83,400 crores. Deferred spectrum liability is a huge 1,20,000 crores. Bank liability is very less. So statutory due is 95%, more than 95% of the total debt. Now, AGR and spectrum debt is time bomb. Why? Because in the past video, I already said and explained that on 31st March, just after the moratorium is going to end, Vodafone Idea is going to have to pay 6 tranches of AGR payment, which starts from 31st March 2026. So if you look at this Excel sheet, which I have shown you multiple times, let's look at this. You can see that there is a due here of 18,540 on FY26. So my viewers have seen this sheet multiple times, and their EBITDA, Vodafone Idea EBITDA, is only 16,000 crore, which is hardly anything that they can pay a debt of or a installment of 18,000 plus crore, right? So here I have mentioned 70,000 crore, actually 16,000 crore. So VI EBITDA is 16,000 crores, barely enough to cover GOI's dues, leaves no room for capex or servicing any debt, right? So why no global telco will enter? So this is the crucial part of the discussion. Now these dues, which are on top of Vodafone Idea, these are going to remain because these are DOT obligation, Government of India's obligation. These are not going to go away. Somebody will not jump and say that I'm going to carry this whole debt on the top of my head, because Vodafone Idea's current operational efficiency is not going to change. So if you look at, there is a revenue of 40,000 crores, right, currently, which can increase, let's say, at the rate of 10%. So the EBITDA is not going to magically increase of Vodafone Idea suddenly because some foreign company has taken over. So if a foreign company takes over and there is not going to be a drastic change of operational efficiency, then how that foreign company will be able to pay 31st March 2026 this due of 18,000 plus crore? That's the point. So these are non-transferable sovereign objects. There is no way anybody will come unless the government has got a structural plan of waiving off all these obligations. Then only probably somebody will come. And if you ask me, it is not going to be any benefit. And I'll give you the reason why. No write-off mechanism exists under the current telecom policy. Foreign telcos existed earlier, Etisalat, Telenor, MTS, and now due to policy risk, they exited. Without any relief, no equity, no new equity, no fresh bank lending, no viable ROI model, right? So Vodafone Idea needs what? They need debt, because there have been a lot of equity infusion by the FPO and by the promoter. Problem with Vodafone Idea is that they don't have bank debt, because current private debt Vodafone Idea is very, very less, 2,000 plus crore, right? So they urgently need a debt of 50,000 to 55,000 crores to do the capex. Because if they don't do capex of 4G, additional 4G and additional 5G, or incrementally that they have to deploy 5G, all their existing subscribers are going to vanish, especially the postpaid subscriber. And their current ARPU, the blended ARPU, which is at 164 rupees per month per subscriber, is not sustainable, and therefore the returns are extremely unattractive. So VI has failed to raise even 20,000 crores. Now the question that one has to ask is why any bank is not willing to lend to Vodafone Idea? That is the question that one has to ask. The reason that is very simple. If anybody will lend, and if there is going to be such a big liability of yearly installment, then how that bank is going to even collect interest? Forget about the principal. So if the Government of India gives a window, at least a 5 years window with no government liability, then probably the bank will be willing to lend so that they can recover their money within the period of 5 years, which I have already explained earlier in one of my videos, right? So this is a huge problem. So the root cause of the collapse is policy, not management. And that is where Chidambaram ji has gone wrong. It is not about management. Suppose you bring another foreign company, a world-class telecom company. Do you think that it is a management issue? They are going to bring their own people from outside? They are going to use the same people who are already working in Vodafone Idea. Only maybe the chairman is going to change and few of the top officials in the board is going to change. That's all is going to happen. The management is going to remain the same, right? So I do not understand then how come such a comment is made. It is completely political in nature, friends. It has got nothing to do with creating some kind of facilitation so that the government is empowered to take decision. It has got nothing to do with that. AGR dues stem from retrospective interpretation under the UPA era. So if you have seen my earlier video, the whole thing started in year 2019, in year 1999, in year 2000, and then the whole thing escalated in year 2003, right? Because the DOT's, stubborn interpretation of the total revenue as the containing both telecom as well as non-telecom part of the company's revenue, not just telecom, right? So DOT said that it has to be total revenue on which license fee should be calculated. So that is the genesis of this debate, and the operators have been struggling and fighting, and then finally they lost in the Supreme Court in 2019. So this did not start in the current regime. It started at the earlier regime, right? The foundation was already laid at that particular point of time. Only thing is this got bad and worse because the operators did not manage the risk properly, because you can't let a litigation go for such a long period of time. Then what happened was 3G auction price. Now, friends, many of the viewers may not be aware of this. When the 2G scam, the so-called scam happened, it actually did not get unlocked immediately at the time when the licenses were given, though people were raising a lot of questions in 2007, 2008, but nobody went all out, right? To put the government into a spotlight that why you have given those licenses. Even the TRAI was very vague in their recommendation. They did not give any specific recommendation at that particular point of time to prevent the government or the DOT to act in that arbitrary way. What happened in 2007 and 2008? They gave those licenses in a subsidized rate in the name of creating more competition, right? So that was the foundation of the 2G scam, that. Then what happened? That led to entry of new players. What Mr. Chidambaram was taking, many foreign players enter the market, Etisalat, MTS, and etc. So there were 14 players enter the market who have paid subsidized license fee, because license and spectrum was bundled with each other. And if you had auctioned that license at that point of time, it would have resulted in larger value compared to what you gave. Banks were willing to lend. They lended this company, generously, because thinking that, telecom sector is a new, thing in India, and therefore there will be a lot of opportunity. So lended very, very generously. Then what happened? In this background, the government held the 3G auction. Now, it is not about holding the 3G auction in 2010. It is about managing supply and demand. That is the crucial part of the auction design. Auction design is nothing rocket science. The fundamental is managing the supply and demand. So if you have a demand of 14 players, a supply of only 3 slots of 5 megahertz each, right, which anybody can call 3G license, then you can imagine the kind of demand it is going to create because of banks willing to lend. Because banks thought that they have already funded these companies on ground, and if they don't fund additional money for 3G, their existing investment is going to go bad. So they're willing to lend. So what happened was this scarcity, which DOT, because of this scarcity of 3G slot, resulted in huge amount of price increase of 3G auction. And this was because of inefficiency of the government. Scarcity would not have happened. What happened was there was a deal between DOT and Defense. And Defense wanted their OFC project to get executed in lieu of releasing 3G spectrum. DOT did not execute the project in time. It got delayed by years. So Defense said, we are not going to release the spectrum. And that is why this only 3 slots were released after a lot of, effort by, the cabinet at that particular point of time to get the 3G auction going. Otherwise, India was lagging behind and the world was already ahead. So the scarcity actually raised the price of 3G auction. Now, question 2, and that resulted in the unlocking of 2G scam. Because when the prices were very high, the government thought that, this is the level of price which the 3G auction unlocked should be applied to 2G spectrum, but they forgot that the context of the discussion and the context of the valuation is completely different. You can't use the 3G auction price. It's a circular situation, circular argument. Now, question to Mr. Chidambaram. If a foreign investor must take over, then will it absorb the liabilities? Will they replace the management? What regulatory protection they will receive? If the dues were waived off or for takeover, why not waive them to VI itself now? That is the question. So the hidden assumption in his statement, the statement is no more government funding, right? Implied prerequisite, only if the dues are silently restructured or written off. Then only it is going to happen. This is the implied prerequisite. Bring a world-class buyer only after the liabilities and regulatory hurdles are cleared, right? Actually, it is all about liabilities. There are no further regulatory hurdle. Anybody can make investment because FDI, everything clearance has been made very simple by the government. Poor regulation drove players away. The regulation form continued under his own tenure at that time. All this so-called poor regulation, they got perpetuated. That's all it happened, right? So what a real waiver plan requires? A real waiver plan requires to waive off spectrum dues or give some kind of a long payment tenure, which can be as large as 30 to 40 years. 20 years is not going to help, friend. It is going to bring down the AGR dues only to 8,000 crores, the installment, which I calculated and showed you. It has to be for a longer duration period, 40 years. Then only it will come down to around 3,000 to 4,000 crores. Reduce future spectrum reserve price and annual license fee so that the VI does not accumulate more liabilities in order to make themselves more profitable. Ensure no accumulation of statutory dues going forward. Provide SUC policy certainty, no retrospective demands, stable spectrum usage charge. Enable spectrum trading, that is fine. Allow 100%, that we have already spoken about. So the bottom line here is that VI's collapse is structural, not managerial. Suggesting a buyer without fixing the policy and a debt structure is either naive or deflecting the past responsibility. Reform must precede revival, not vice versa. As simple as that. So this is the end of my presentation, friends. So I thought of just give an overview. Most of what I have said, friends, already people are aware of. There is nothing new which I am speaking about. But it was my responsibility to amplify this for those who have no clue how the telecom sector had performed in past and what kind of policy was adopted in the telecom sector, which started from the year 2000 and perpetuated in the current regime, leading to this problem that we are saying. Because what happens is that, which people do not understand, there is always a argument of level playing. There is nothing called level playing in this world. Even businesses are not functioning under level playing. If you look at big businesses, they have got huge of deep pockets. They have got huge negotiating power. They have volumes. They can get volume-based discount. So how can you actually have level playing as an argument to levy license fees, spectrum charges on companies who do not have deep pockets, but their presence in the system is essential to check those who have huge amount of power in terms of money and muscle, and they can steer the market towards monopoly, not in the interest of the consumer. So license fees, spectrum charges, prices are always should be structured in such a way that they are comfortable for those who are weak players in the market, not for those who are strong players. And that is the fundamental reason, friends, this problem has emanated in the system, because high spectrum prices has been used as a tool by the big companies, the market leaders, to weed out competition in the market. Otherwise, there is no point in buying spectrum at astronomical high prices. People would not have bought spectrum. They bought the spectrum because thinking that grab the land so that no other player can enter the market, because then all kinds of reforms which the government of India will announce, like the telecom package, only those surviving players are going to get benefited. That's all, friends, in this video. I hope that you like this video. and it kind of gave you a very good insight as to what should be done. And I hope that the government is working in that direction, because our telecom minister's statement speaks for it. And I am quite certain that Vodafone Idea will get a relief, and he'll continue to kind of be remaining in this business, so that the market competition in the market is checked and the consumer interest is protected. Thanks, friends, for your time and listening till the end. I'll come back with a new video on a new topic next time. Thank you very much.